To pay off our family's debt, my sister and I are about to marry the twin sons of Riverdale's most powerful tycoon. I'm being paired with the ice-cold older brother, she with the womanizing younger one. I thought my life was basically over until the night before the wedding, when both of their first loves flew back to town. Skylar and I met up, compared notes, and reached the exact same conclusion. Runaway attempt. I'm running too. Wedding morning, we dashed for the border in our wedding gowns, only to be caught red-handed. The frosty older brother seized my wrist, a bitter laugh curling his lips. Caleb went to meet his white moon, I didn't. So what exactly are you running from? Everyone knows the Blackwoods sit on the summit of Riverdale money and influence. Everyone also knows each brother still carries a torch for the girl he grew up with. After the Vance sisters were delivered to the Blackwood heirs, we unexpectedly ended up dating them for 2 full years. People said it was just a game, that the brothers were sampling forbidden fruit before tossing us out like trash once the novelty wore off. Then, a week ago, the Blackwoods mailed engraved invitations to every blue-blooded family in the state. Tomorrow Skylar and I will walk down the aisle and officially marry into the dynasty, Adrian for me, Caleb for her. Headlines exploded overnight, the scandal monopolized every gossip site. Push alerts keep lighting up our phones. Our names scroll across ticker tapes every other hour. Skylar sighs so deeply I feel it in my ribs. We sit in a cafe disguised in hats, shades, and masks. Serena, last night while Caleb was taking a shower I saw an iMessage from Lydia, pick me up at the airport. She lands today. I've been calling him, no answer. He's probably on the interstate already. I remember Lydia, Caleb's childhood sweetheart, practically his next-door neighbor. Adrian and Caleb are polar opposites. Adrian is glacial, allergic to small talk, we can share a bed and exchange fewer than 5 sentences. Caleb is the textbook playboy, new model on his arm every week. Though Skylar and I were offered up as human collateral, Adrian at least treats me with a veneer of respect in public. Skylar's voice keeps shrinking, I know she's hurting. We entered this knowing it was a transaction, but 2 years of sharing pillows leaves fingerprints on the heart. Even I've slipped. Evelyn's flying in too, I saw her WhatsApp story. Legend says Evelyn is the white moon in Adrian's sky. The day I moved into the Blackwood estate she added me from overseas and delivered a velvet-gloved threat. The invite came through a mutual contact, Adrian. My stomach sinks, he'd handed her that assurance. Serena, once their real loves are back we'll be booted out. Better to stage our own runaway attempt than be jilted at the altar. I glance around, terrified someone overheard. Skylar, watch your mouth. If we bolt, what happens to the Vance debt? The Blackwoods won't forgive it, and our parents sure won't help. Serena, it hurts, we swore we'd never fall for them, but I did, since childhood Skylar and I have only had each other. We also have a younger brother our parents dote on, daughters are tools. Her sob rips me open. Adrian has never loved me anyway. The man is ruthless, when he wants something gone, it disappears. With Evelyn home, he'd probably prefer I vaporize myself. All right. Serena will get you out. Tonight the downtown villa is empty except for the housekeeper. Adrian bought the place after we started dating, close to the financial district, rarely visited by him. I assume he won't show. Skylar and I map our getaway. To avoid recapture we must clear Riverdale, the Blackwoods own every camera. Let's leave the country. Didn't you keep a world travel bucket list? Her eyes sparkle. Yes, my lifelong dream, memorized route by route. I open my laptop, punch in our passport numbers, and buy tomorrow's boarding passes. As I screenshot the confirmations, the bedroom door swings open. Serena, what are you doing? Adrian's arctic voice ices the room. Nothing, Just browsing. I slam the lid, heat crawling up my neck. Suspicion shadows his eyes as he closes in, bending until his face almost grazes mine. When he reaches for the laptop, I throw my arms around his neck, derailing him. What brings you here tonight? I'm rarely this forward. The air stalls. Checking whether my bride-to-be plans a runaway attempt. How could he know? My chin jerks, my mouth brushes his. He kisses me like he wants to inhale my soul. Every thought of escape evaporates. One truth remains: Adrian has stamina, and tomorrow I'll be sore. Thankfully, the wedding restrains us. After his shower he slides into bed without a word. Before sleep I scroll WhatsApp. Evelyn's fresh post stops my thumb. Touchdown and already picked up, so blessed. The selfie shows her in a back seat wrapped in matte black leather, Adrian's car. So he visited me only after collecting her. The man beside me was already asleep. He had never once mentioned Evelyn to me. I studied the line of his profile and silently said goodbye. A man like Adrian was never meant to be mine. It was time to return him to his rightful owner. When I woke the next morning, Adrian was gone. Butler hauled me out of bed for makeup and the wedding gown. Today's ceremony waited. I grabbed my phone and found it exploding with texts from Skylar. To keep her calm, I rang her back at once. Adrian showed up here last night. I didn't dare check my phone in case he sensed something. The plan stays the same. Skylar exhaled slowly. Good. Caleb spent the whole night with Lydia. How do you know? My tone came out sharp. The makeup artist flinched and froze her brush. I knew Caleb always kept other women on the side, hurting Skylar more times than I could count. But I hadn't expected him to spend the entire eve of the wedding with someone else. Lydia texted me from Caleb's phone at 3 a.m. Serena, forget me. Are you really leaving? Adrian's a block of ice, but he's not as bad as Caleb. I'd wondered if I was being rash until Evelyn's Instagram last night handed me the answer. With too many prying eyes around, I cut the call short. When I opened my eyes again, even I was stunned by the mirror. My hair and makeup were flawless, the haute couture gown mapped every curve. I usually lived in loose clothes for comfort. Most people had never seen me polished like this. Someone immediately snapped a photo and sent it to Adrian. His text landed a heartbeat later. You look awake, guess last night didn't wear you out. Wait for me like a good girl. Those 4 words raised goosebumps across my skin. Adrian hardly texted me twice a year, usually his assistant passed messages, or he simply appeared at the villa. Let alone flirt, yet here it was. There was no time to decode it. I was already in the bridal car heading to the venue, the pivotal leg of Skylar's and my runaway attempt. I'd spent 2 years of Adrian's pocket money bribing both drivers. When I Venmo'd them, I thanked heaven his allowances had been generous. Otherwise, how could I buy loyalty? At the next intersection, the drivers were supposed to swing us straight to Riverdale. The red light counted down, 10, 9, 3, 2, 1. Only then did I notice we'd stayed in the straight-only lane. The airport turn should have been left. We were speeding ahead. Uncle Wang, aren't we going to the airport? I blurted, panicked. He apologized first, unable to meet my eyes. Madam, I just don't dare. If the eldest young master finds out, my life is over. Well, mine would be next. I couldn't blame him. In this city, the Blackwoods hold livelihoods in their palms. A lone driver never stood a chance. Since Uncle David had chosen sides, Adrian must already know. Was that sweet text a warning, or a plea? My phone vibrated nonstop on the seat. Skylar must have hit her own snag. Busted. Wing it from here. My heart pounded like a drum. Closer to the venue, I pictured Adrian's face, cold enough to freeze fire. The Vance family would sacrifice Skylar and me to save themselves. After all this scheming, we were still headed for ruin. The car stopped. I stepped onto the red carpet in diamond-studded heels. Half of Riverdale's press corps flashed bulbs bright enough to blind me. Adrian stood at the entrance greeting guests. I walked toward him, each step sinking into carpet like, afraid I'd collapse. When I finally reached him, I forced a smile and slid my arm through his. "Let's go in." Had I imagined it, or did his mouth curve upward? "Not running anymore?" I pressed my lips together, pragmatism over pride. "I'm done running." I was wrong. "Your first love is back," so before I could finish, he stopped, caught my hand, and pulled me flush against him. He chased his first love, I didn't. "So why were you running?" The cameras devoured the moment. No one had ever seen Adrian this close to a woman. Heat rushed to my cheeks. Since when had he turned so shamelessly sly? After the endless night, the ceremony finally ended. I shed my makeup and slipped into soft pajamas in the master suite, the Riverview penthouse Adrian had bought. Typical Adrian, if it could be purchased genuine, he never settled for a knockoff. At last we were alone, the city lights hushed quiet through the glass. I spotted our reflections. He hadn't stopped watching me. "You must be exhausted, let's turn in." To dodge the topic of escape, I headed for the bathroom to shower. Adrian yanked me back, pinned me on the bed, and buried his face against my neck, breath hot and tickling. "Tell me, why did you want to run, just because Evelyn's back?" At the banquet I'd figured I was toast anyway, so I hadn't refused a single guest's wedding toast. If Adrian hadn't swapped my wine for soda, I'd be a puddle of alcohol now. Liquid courage, combined with his mention of Evelyn, sent my grievances flooding out. "You deny seeing her, but you did the airport pickup." I turned my face away so he wouldn't catch the tears glimmering in my eyes. "When did I say I'd pick her up? Who told you that? You still won't admit it?" I pouted, snatched the phone from the nightstand, and shoved Evelyn's latest post at him. "That's the car you use for work. Who else has clearance besides you?" Adrian's brows twitched when he saw the photo. Right in front of me he dialed a number. "Explain yesterday or pack your desk, you're done." It was his assistant. The man had been with Adrian 8 years, one syllable told him the boss was furious. After all, what employer calls to interrogate an employee on his wedding night? The usually glib assistant could barely stammer. "Blackwood, Evelyn recognized your aunt and insisted on riding with us, said it was on the way." One sentence and both Adrian and I knew exactly what had happened. He lifted a brow at me. Realizing I'd wronged him, I scrambled to save face. "Well, you were the one who gave her my number so she could send me all that nonsense." My phone had been in Adrian's hand the whole time. He opened my chat with Evelyn and finally saw the taunts from 2 years ago. "You don't really think you're the ugly duckling in a fairy tale, do you? Everyone knows Adrian only ever loved me. The day I come back, you'll scram." Just as Adrian lowered his head to explain, the dormant chat lit up with a fresh message from Evelyn. "A wedding certificate doesn't mean a thing. The only Blackwood will be me. Stay away from Adrian, you manipulating witch." I could feel the temperature around Adrian drop several degrees. He lifted my phone, recorded a single voice note, and hit send. "Get lost. My wife is Serena, who do you think you are?" Then he blocked and deleted her in one swipe. "Weren't you the one who handed her my contact? And now you treat her like this?" He flicked my forehead with a finger. "Think hard, who else knows both of you besides me?" Unbidden, my little brother Jason's face flashed through my mind. You're Blackwood now, don't let anyone lead you around by the nose. All right, every misunderstanding cleared. You owe me an apology, got a plan to make it up to me? I never imagined Adrian would spell things out like this. Anyone else who dared question him would have been cut off ages ago. Maybe the champagne went to my head, because the second he said compensation, I kissed him. Adrian, your smile is gorgeous. He pressed the button and the blackout curtains glided shut. That night his stamina was insane. After a full wedding day he still kept us up till dawn. When I awoke again it was past 4 in the afternoon. Last night Adrian had been an absolute animal, no, worse than an animal. In the mirror I saw my neck covered in hickeys and pressed a hot towel over them. I cupped cold water in both hands and splashed my face. Every memory of the night rushed back. Adrian had talked and talked, more than in the entire 2 years before, and in the end I was the one who made the first move. Serena, control yourself. I wailed at my reflection, cheeks on fire. What's wrong? Adrian called from the other side of the door, making me jump. Why aren't you at the office? I clapped a hand over my mouth. He hated being questioned, so I changed the subject. Nothing. Taking a shower, be right out. With the water running I speed dialed Skylar. You okay? What do you think? Got dragged back, marry or else. The sound of running water on her end told me she was hiding in a bathroom too, true twin telepathy. I spilled every detail of last night. If that's true, Adrian really cares about you. Serena, at least one of us is happy. I caught the crack in her voice. Skylar, what happened at your ceremony? As she laid it out, I learned Caleb's first love Lydia had crashed the wedding. Worse, Caleb himself had sent the engraved invitation. Skylar and Caleb had fought all night, skipping the bridal night entirely. Serena, I still want to run, will you help? I know exactly how she feels about Caleb. Seeing her this hurt, I push my own worries aside. Hang on, Serena will think of something. Afraid Adrian would wonder what was taking so long, I hung up, showered at lightning speed, and stepped out to find him on the sofa holding a glass of warm milk. Come drink this. A white shirt made look impossibly abstinent, but after one night he'd reverted to distant and unreadable. So last night really was just the champagne talking. I can't rely on him for Skylar. From afternoon to evening Adrian holed up in his private study on back-to-back calls. I texted Skylar to gather her documents and be ready. I'd slip over and pick her up. I peeked through the study door at the man who'd been conferencing for 3 straight hours. His stamina really is outrageous in every department. Seeing the call wouldn't end soon, I palmed the keys to my supercar and sped toward Skylar's master suite. Adrian had bought me the car. I barely drive it once a year. Never thought it would become my getaway vehicle. If he finds out, I'll probably never see my baby again. Just thinking about it makes my heart ache. But cars aren't more important than sisters. I floored the accelerator. Under 15 minutes later I idled outside her Blackwood gate. Caleb had meant to stay home and babysit her, but a frantic call dragged him out at dinner time, and that's the opening we're going to seize. Barely a minute later, Skylar appeared, swaddled from head to toe so that not an inch of skin showed, like a burglar in a heist movie. The moment she slid into the seat she exhaled in relief. Serena, let's get out of here while no one's looking. Before I could start the engine, my phone rang. One glance at the caller ID and my heart catapulted into my throat. Who else could it be but my brand new husband, Adrian? Serena. Whenever Adrian begins with my full name, it means eruption-level fury is imminent. I couldn't let that happen, not when Skylar's one chance was inches away. Summoning every shred of nerve I possessed, I cut him off mid-sentence and stabbed the red button. Probably the first time anyone had dared hang up on him since he took over Blackwood. The thought alone made every hair on my arm stand at attention. The airport sits on the outskirts of town, even flooring the accelerator. The sprint from downtown Riverdale took well over an hour. Skylar's boarding pass would expire any minute. "Skylar, are you absolutely sure?" She yanked down her mask and flung her arms around me. "I'm sure." Better to breathe free alone than stay beside Caleb while he stomps on whatever dignity I have left. "Serena, promise me you'll be happy. If Adrian ever bullies you, find a way to come find me." With final call blinking on the overhead screen, I jammed a bank card into her palm. It's the money I saved before I ever set foot in the Blackwood estate. Just in case. Tears brimmed in both our eyes as we hugged goodbye, and Caleb's hand clamped around Skylar's suitcase. "Going somewhere, wifey? An overseas vacation you forgot to mention to your dear husband?" He wore that same infuriating who cares smirk. I was about to jump to Skylar's defense when a familiar scent drifted over my shoulder. No need to turn, I already knew Adrian had arrived. Skylar and I traded a look of resigned despair. Another escape attempt, aborted. The interstate was nearly empty, yet Adrian's chill was arctic. I couldn't stop shivering. He slammed the SUV onto the shoulder and killed the engine. Staring at the endless ribbon of asphalt ahead, I sealed my lips, half terrified he'd fling me over the guardrail if I so much as breathed. "After everything I told you last night, you still tried to run?" He pinched my chin, voice rushed, eyes threaded with something close to fear. Calm is Adrian's default, any other emotion on his face is a rare eclipse. Before I could stammer an explanation, he crushed his mouth to mine, a kiss that felt like repossession of something he'd lost. Only when my lips throbbed swollen did he release me. I clutched my chest, gulping air. I wasn't running. I only wanted to help Skylar leave. She's miserable here. Adrian's bloodshot eyes told me the scare had shaken him badly. "You'd better not be lying." I tentatively curled my fingers through his, thumb brushing the ridge of his knuckles. "I wouldn't dare. Check my record, I never bought a boarding pass." "Then how did you know we'd be at the airport?" Whether curiosity or reconnaissance for the next breakout, I had to ask. He flicked open the top button of his shirt, exposing the hollow of his collarbone. "I bought this car, the dashcam feed is synced to my phone." "And did you really think I didn't notice you rifling through my private study, Blackwood? Scheming really isn't your strength." He lowered the window, let the wind cool him, then pulled back onto the interstate. That casual Blackwood detonated a flock of butterflies in my stomach. Last night I'd been tipsy, but sober it sounded surreal. "Can't you rein your brother in? He's married now, no more philandering." I hadn't realized I'd spoken out loud. "Caleb will settle things with Skylar himself. Besides, you're his sister-in-law, feel free to lecture him." The words slid off Adrian's tongue so naturally I turned to stare. "Adrian. This whole arrangement, why are you being so good to me when it was supposed to be a transaction?" A long silence stretched before he answered. "Serena, you're the only one who ever treated it like a transaction. I walked into this intending a real marriage." The two sentences exploded in my skull like fireworks. By the time we reached the mansion I was still dazed. He scooped me up in a bridal carry all the way to the master suite. He didn't let me sleep until dawn, until I'd surrendered every protest. The following days Skylar and I might as well have been inmates. The brothers escorted us everywhere, even to their offices. I lolled on the leather sofa in Adrian's corner office, bored out of my mind. We occupied the top floor of Riverdale's tallest tower. From here, cars and pedestrians resembled scurrying ants. Skylar hadn't texted once. When I finally refused lunch in protest, Adrian admitted Caleb had confiscated her phone, terrified his eloping sister-in-law would spirit his wife away again. I rolled my eyes so hard they almost hit the ceiling. Skylar must have wrung a satisfying explanation out of Caleb, otherwise, knowing her, she'd have resorted to screaming tantrums until she reached me. Alone in the office while Adrian chaired a board meeting, I was plotting a harmless wander when footsteps clicked across the marble behind me. "You're finally back. I'm dying of boredom here." Lately Adrian and I had slid into an easy rhythm, Frost king to the world, total closet softy with me. His indulgence had made me fearless, everything short of another runaway attempt, I said, and did exactly as I pleased. "Adrian works himself to the bone and all you can think about is playing?" The voice was feminine. I spun around. Framed in the doorway stood Evelyn, dressed as though a stylist had emptied an entire boutique on her at once. The cloud of perfume she wore, apparently an entire bottle, assaulted my nose, the resulting sneeze-fest left my eyes streaming. Just then Adrian burst in, clearly having sprinted from the conference room. Spotting him, Evelyn preened like a peacock, hips swaying as she glided to his side. "Adrian, when did standards drop so low that someone like her qualifies as your woman? Serena doesn't lift a finger to help you, she only plays and causes trouble." Right then I couldn't care less what stunt this woman was pulling. I hurried to the window just to catch a breath. Adrian's aura sent the temperature in the room plunging. It was the middle of summer, yet the instant he appeared the corner office felt like a walk-in freezer. He ignored Evelyn, who was basically gluing herself to him, and the brush-off nearly toppled her in her 10-centimeter stilettos. He came to my side and steadied me. "You okay? Do we need to get you to the hospital?" I waved a hand. "It's not that bad. A lungful of fresh air and I'll be fine." Meeting finished? I could feel the tension drain from his face the moment he got close. Once he saw I wasn't hurt, he even cracked a joke. "Not yet." I paused it, figured you'd bolt with your sister again if you felt wronged. Evelyn, seeing us act as if she were invisible, decided to force her way into the spotlight. "Adrian, we haven't seen each other in ages. I simmered this chicken soup just for you. With all the corporate chaos, you must be exhausted." She opened the thermos right on his desk and started ladling it out. "Don't," I blurted, stopping Evelyn. "Adrian has a quirky rule about his workspace: nothing unrelated to work may touch the surface, and every object has to sit in its exact, obsessive spot. Because of that, the cleaning crew assigned to his office has changed more times than I can count." Evelyn, naturally, tuned me out. She was sure I only wanted to sabotage her grand gesture. Fine, even if she is my rival in love, I spared her a 3-second pity prayer. Sure enough, the next instant Adrian buzzed security. "Throw this garbage out, all of it, including the random woman who brought it." Evelyn never expected him to be that ruthless. Before the guards could drag her off, she threw caution to the winds and screamed, "Adrian, everything I do is for you. How am I worse than this woman? Have you forgotten? If the Lancaster family hadn't bailed the Blackwood companies out during the financial crash, you wouldn't be where you are today." Adrian lifted a finger, halting security mid-stride. "Don't play saint. I know perfectly well your clan siphoned off $30 million in cash back then, thinking a few million in hush money would cover it. Looks like I wasn't ruthless enough, letting the Lancasters survive until now." He punched the intercom. "Assistant, today we launch a full-scale takedown of Lancaster Enterprises, buy out whatever we can. I'm no finance whiz, but even I know the Blackwoods can flatten the Lancasters without breaking a sweat." The woman who'd been shrieking moments ago now looked like a corpse, offering no resistance as security hauled her away. At last she realized she'd picked the wrong target. I finally got through to Skylar. She sounded nothing like the girl who'd plotted a runaway attempt. She and Caleb behaved like newlyweds on a sugar high. The two of us holed up in a cafe for an entire day, trading every scrap of news, and only then did I piece together her saga with Caleb. Apparently, when Skylar first arrived at his side, he'd been genuinely indifferent. To keep his single and loving it image intact, he kept collecting flashy flings even while dating her. Time did its thing. By the time he noticed he'd fallen for her, his reputation in her eyes had already hit rock bottom. The legendary playboy figured confessing he'd settled down would be mortifying, so he never dared bare his heart. As for Lydia attending his wedding, years of family ties made the invitation inevitable. Lydia herself is engaged to the man she loves, so Caleb simply wanted her there for appearances. Caleb's such a child, only he could think going steady is something to be ashamed of. I forked up a bite of dessert and ranted to Skylar. Boys will be boys, she giggled, blushing on his behalf. Anyway, Serena, as long as you're happy, I'm happy. With 1 minute left until the Blackwood brothers were due, 2 candy-painted supercars screeched to the curb outside the cafe. Pedestrians stopped to gawk. Sister-in-law. Caleb greeted me with uncharacteristic reverence. It was my first time seeing him since the airport, and the change was jarring. His usual swagger had been replaced by almost comical politeness. This level of courtesy is spooky. What happened to cocky Caleb? I squinted at him, then glanced at Adrian, wordlessly asking for an explanation. Let him explain himself. Sister-in-law, from now on you're the real head of the Blackwood household. Anyone who can domesticate my brother and still run off with my wife at a moment's notice deserves the crown. We all burst out laughing at his solemn declaration. Under a canopy of jealous stares, Skylar and I climbed into the passenger seats of 2 limited edition rockets and sped away. 3 months later came the Blackwoods' annual family dinner, the biggest event since the wedding. Mr. and Blackwood turned out to be nothing like the intimidating titans I'd expected. They greeted Skylar and me like long-lost daughters, pulling us into non-stop chatter. We exchanged a conspiratorial smile, remembering how little parental warmth we'd received back home. Outside of our forced wedding, this was the first time an older generation had made us feel treasured. Every dish on the long table seemed custom-picked for our taste buds. So this was what being valued felt like. Adrian automatically began plating food for me. I used to worry Adrian would stay single forever. Who knew marriage would turn him into such a softie? His mother teased in front of the whole table. Mom and I are on the same page. I was convinced my brother would die alone, Caleb added. Knock it off! Skylar rapped Caleb's knuckles with her chopsticks. I stayed quiet, smiling, because the mountain of food Adrian had stacked on my plate kept me too busy to talk. I spared a chunk of my favorite kung pao chicken, but the moment it hit my tongue my stomach lurched. I bolted to the powder room and retched until my ribs ached. The sudden crisis killed everyone's appetite. Right there under the chandeliers the Blackwood took my pulse. Congratulations, 9 weeks along. Thanks for listening to today's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you enjoyed the video, please like and share it with friends. We look forward to reading your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more gripping tales. See you next time.